The Empire's central command station floated in silence above a burning planet. Hundreds of glowing screens showed the position of every fleet in the galaxy. Officers moved from table to table, their faces sharp and tired. The room smelled of metal and old paper, a strange mix of future and tradition. At the center, Admiral Karos stood tall. His uniform was black with silver lines, his chest full of medals. His eyes never left the main display. The Empire was strong. Its fleets were countless, its enemies were broken, or so everyone believed. "Report," the Admiral said. A young officer pressed buttons on his console. His voice shook a little. "All fleets in Sector 9 are in stable formation, sir. No enemy signals detected. The area is clear." The Admiral gave a slow nod. Peace was rare in the galaxy, and he knew it never lasted. Still tonight the Empire looked untouchable. But then, a soft alarm rang. It was not loud, not sharp, just a small tone, almost lazy. Yet everyone in the room froze. "What is that?" the Admiral asked. Another officer checked his console. His face turned pale. "Sir, we have an unknown ship entering Sector 9. The Admiral frowned. "Unknown? Whose flag does it fly? Rebel? Smuggler?" "No, sir, that's the problem." The officer swallowed hard. "It isn't logged in any system. No registry, no identification, nothing. It is like it doesn't exist." The command room filled with whispers. A ship that had no record was impossible. Every vessel, even the smallest shuttle, carried a code. The Empire tracked everything. "Put it on the main screen," Karos ordered. The giant wall display lit up. There it was, a dark shape moving across the stars. It looked old and broken, but its engines glowed with unnatural light. No signal, no communication, just silence. The Admiral narrowed his eyes. "Strange design. It does not look alien, but neither does it look imperial." An officer spoke nervously. "Maybe it's a ghost signal, sir. A glitch in the system." But before anyone could agree, the first fleet vanished. On the screen, 20 Imperial battleships were simply gone. No explosion, no warning, no debris. One moment they were there, shining bright, and the next moment there was only empty space. The room erupted in panic. Officers shouted, searching their systems, banging on consoles as if the machines were lying. "Impossible," one man cried. "Ships cannot just vanish." "Check again," the Admiral barked. His voice was loud, but even he felt a cold fear crawling in his chest. The second fleet disappeared. 50 more ships erased in an instant. Not destroyed, not damaged, erased. The command room fell into silence now, a silence heavier than screams. Every officer stared at the display with wide eyes. The unknown ship moved slowly, calmly, like a hunter in no rush. Admiral Karos gripped the table in front of him. "This is no accident," he whispered. "We are under attack." "But how, sir?" the officer asked, voice shaking. "No weapons detected, no energy spikes, nothing. It doesn't even send a signal." Karos turned toward him, his face hard. "Then explain how 2 fleets of the Empire disappeared in seconds." No, one had an answer. The third fleet vanished. Hundreds of men and women, thousands of lives, gone without a sound. The young officer shouted, "Sir, if this continues, Sector 9 will be empty." The Admiral's hands shook for the first time in his career. He looked at the unknown ship. Again, its engines burned brighter as if feeding on the fear of the Empire itself. "Send a transmission," Karos ordered. "Demand identification." The officer tapped the console, tried again and again. He looked up with terror in his eyes. "No response, sir. It doesn't even acknowledge our signals." The Admiral stepped closer to the screen. His voice dropped, low. "Then what are you?" The ship answered in its own way. The fourth fleet vanished. The room became chaos. Officers screamed. One collapsed to the ground. Someone shouted for evacuation. Another shouted for reinforcements. But no one knew what to do. The Admiral forced himself to stay calm. All fleets, pull back now, he commanded. But even as he gave the order, the Fifth Fleet blinked out of existence. Now, the map showed only empty stars. Where once hundreds of Imperial ships had stood proud, there was nothing. Only one dark shape remained, the unknown ship. Karos whispered to himself. A single vessel, erasing the might of an empire. Every officer turned toward him, waiting for guidance, for hope. But even the admiral's voice shook when he spoke. This is no ordinary enemy. This is something else. Something beyond war. And if we cannot stop it, the empire itself may vanish. The alarms wailed louder. Red lights flashed across the command room. The officers' faces were pale, their hands trembling. No one had seen such terror before. The ship on the screen stopped moving. It simply waited, silent and patient, like a predator watching its prey. The admiral's final words cut through the fear. Record this moment. Tonight, history changes. The empire is in panic, and our greatest enemy has just arrived. The screen turned black. The command station was silent after the disaster. Empty chairs, trembling hands, and pale faces filled the great hall. Nobody spoke loudly anymore. Voices were whispers, as if sound itself could invite the unknown ship closer. Admiral Karos stood in the middle of the room, eyes fixed on the blank star map. Entire fleets gone without fire or wreckage. He clenched his jaw until his teeth hurt. The Empire had ruled for centuries, and never had it been humiliated like this. At last, the Emperor's seal appeared on the largest screen. A figure cloaked in gold and shadow spoke with a heavy voice. Admiral Karos, the Emperor said, explain to me how the strongest armada in the galaxy disappears like smoke. Karos lowered his head. My Emperor, a ship has entered our sector. It is not logged, not recorded, and not responding. We do not know how, but it erased our fleets. I request permission to investigate further. The Emperor's voice grew sharp. Investigate? The people whisper already. Panic spreads. You will not investigate. You will end this. Do you understand? Karos felt the weight of 1,000 eyes on him. Yes, my Emperor. The screen went dark, leaving the command room colder than before. A council gathered. Generals, scientists, and intelligence officers stood around a round table that glowed with shifting holograms of the mysterious ship. A scientist with gray hair spoke first. It does not use weapons, at least none we recognize. Its energy readings are impossible. Stable 1 second, vanishing the next. It is like the ship hides in another layer of space. One general slammed his fist on the table. Nonsense. Every weapon leaves a mark. This is trickery, technology stolen from some forgotten race. The scientist shook his head. Or something worse. Perhaps time itself is being bent. The room filled with murmurs. Time was sacred, untouchable. No empire, no civilization had ever bent it. Karos raised his hand, silencing them. Theories mean nothing. We need proof. I will send an investigation team, small, fast, quiet. They will track this ship and return with answers. A young intelligence officer frowned. Sir, if entire fleets vanish, what chance does a small team have? Karos met his eyes. Sometimes survival does not come from strength. It comes from speed and silence. We cannot fight an enemy we do not understand. Within hours, a small cruiser named Silent Dagger left the command station. Its mission was clear: shadow the mysterious ship, collect every fragment of data, and return. The crew of the Silent Dagger were the best the Empire could gather: scouts, codebreakers, and one scientist who studied anomalies. They moved like shadows across the stars, their engines cold, their lights dim. Inside comma. Captain Rin studied the screens. His voice was low, steady. Keep distance. Do not signal. We follow, nothing more. The crew nodded, their hands tight on controls. Nobody wanted to be here chasing the monster that had erased entire armadas. But orders were orders. For hours, the Silent Dagger drifted behind the unknown ship. It moved with unnatural calm, almost lazy, as if daring anyone to approach. Its surface was black metal that reflected no light, yet its engines glowed like a dying sun. The scientist, Dr. Vera, leaned closer to the screen. Strange. Its design is familiar. The captain frowned. Familiar how? She hesitated. Not alien. Human. Look at the structure, the angles. This ship was not built by outsiders. The words chilled the crew. If the ship was human-made, then someone in the Empire had betrayed them. Before they could discuss further, the ship flickered. For 1 second it vanished completely, leaving only empty space. Then, just as suddenly, it returned, closer than before. Evasive! The captain barked. Engines roared as the silent dagger twisted away. The unknown ship did not fire, did not chase. Instead, a transmission lit up the console. The crew froze. No sound came, only symbols. Strange, shifting shapes that seemed to move even when the screen was still. Dr. Vera whispered, "It's not a code. It's a warning." The captain narrowed his eyes. "Translate it." She stared at the screen, for long minutes, her face growing pale. Finally, she spoke. "It says, your empire is already dead. You just don't know it yet." The crew sat in silence, their hearts pounding. Back at command. Admiral Karos received the message. He read the translation again and again, but the words never changed. "This enemy knows us," he said softly. "They know who we are. They want us afraid." One general leaned forward. "Then we must strike now. Assemble a battle group and crush this phantom before more panic spreads." Karos hesitated. His instincts told him rushing would only lead to more disaster, but he also knew the Emperor's patience was thin. At last he gave the order, "Send a battle group, 20 ships, test its strength. If it bleeds, we will know it can be killed." The silent dagger stayed in shadow, watching from a distance. The battle group arrived, massive engines cutting across the dark. Voices filled the comms, brave, steady, ready for war. Then the unknown ship turned slowly, like a predator finally noticing its prey. Captain Rin whispered, "Here we go." The first 20 Imperial ships moved into attack formation. But before they fired a single shot, the stars blinked, and the entire group was gone. No fire, no wreckage. Just silence. The silent dagger shook with fear. Dr. Vera covered her mouth, whispering, "It doesn't fight. It erases." The captain gave the only order left. "Turn around, we're going home. The Empire must know this is not a battle. It's the beginning of extinction." The silent dagger returned to the command station in silence. Its hull carried no damage, yet every crew member looked as if they had returned from a graveyard. No one spoke loudly. They feared the very air. "Might listen." Admiral Karos entered the debriefing chamber. His eyes scanned the tired faces of the crew. "Report." Captain Rin stood stiff. The battle group was erased before firing a shot. The ship did not attack, it only existed, and they were gone. Karos's jaw tightened. And the transmission? The room fell colder. Dr. Vera stepped forward, her voice soft but shaking. It wasn't a code, it was a message. It said, "Your empire is already dead. You just don't know it yet." Gasps filled the chamber. Some whispered prayers, others cursed under their breath. Karos said nothing. He replayed the words in his mind. Already dead. The phrase felt like poison. Later that night, in the Empire's intelligence vault, the message was studied. Symbols floated in the air, projected from the silent dagger's records. Strange curves and lines shifted as if alive. A codebreaker muttered, "It's not static. It keeps changing." Another added, "I think it adapts to whoever watches. Look, the symbols reshape depending on where I stand." Dr. Vera leaned close. Her eyes followed the shapes until they shifted into words again. The same words, already dead. Her hands trembled. This message isn't only written, it is alive. It wants us to read it. One officer laughed nervously. Messages don't want. Messages don't think. But when he turned to look again, the symbols formed his own name written in Imperial script. His face drained of color. Karos cut the session short. Enough. Shut it down. No one else looks at this until I say. Rumors spread across the station. Whispers of a ghost ship. Whispers of cursed words that could read your soul. Fear began to crawl beyond the officers into the civilian sectors. Merchants closed shops. Families stayed indoors and soldiers avoided the star maps. The Emperor demanded answers. His voice thundered through the command hall. Admiral Karos, how does a single phantom humiliate an empire that has ruled for centuries? The people demand safety. They demand victory. Karos bowed his head. We cannot fight an enemy we don't understand. We must study it, track it, learn its origin. The Emperor's voice cut sharp. I gave you orders to destroy, not study. Karos raised his eyes, fire burning in them. And every ship you send is erased. Do you wish to erase the entire empire piece by piece? Or do you wish to survive? The chamber fell silent. For the first time, the Emperor gave no reply. Meanwhile, the Silent Dagger's crew recovered in the medical wing. Captain Rin lay on a bed staring at the ceiling. His voice was distant. When we followed it, it felt like it knew we were there, like it allowed us to see. If it wanted, we would not be here. The medic frowned. Then why spare you? Rin closed his eyes. Because it wanted us to deliver the message. We are not survivors. We are messengers. Across the room, Dr. Vera whispered to herself. Already dead. Already dead. She could not stop hearing it. Days later, the ghost ship appeared again. This time, not in a far sector, but close. Too close. Alarms screamed across the command station. Screens lit up. Officers shouted, but no orders seemed strong enough. Karos rushed into the hall. Report! Unknown ship detected near Colony Vega, sir. Civilian population, 7 million. Karos's heart pounded. This was no longer fleets in empty space. This was people. Millions of voices who believed the Empire could protect them. Send everything we have left in that sector. Karos commanded. We cannot let it reach Vega. Dozens of ships formed a protective wall around the colony. Their weapons locked on target. For once, it looked like the Empire was ready. But then a voice filled every channel. Not just one screen, not just one ship. Every console, every radio, every speaker carried it. A calm, human voice. You cling to your empire as if it still breathes, but it is already dead. Do you not feel it? The silence growing around you? Every soldier froze. Civilians screamed. The voice spoke like it was inside their minds. Admiral Karos gritted his teeth. Identify yourself. Who are you? The voice chuckled softly. Who I am does not matter. What matters is that your fleets are gone, your defenses are illusions, and your emperor hides in fear. I am not your enemy. I am your ending. The ghost ship glided closer. Its black surface reflected the stars like a mirror of nothingness. Karos shouted, Open fire! The wall of Imperial ships unleashed their weapons. Beams of light, missiles of fire, cannons of plasma, all filled the sky. And then silence. The weapons vanished in mid-flight, erased before hitting their target. Not destroyed, just gone, as if they had never been fired. The ghost ship did not move faster. It did not retaliate, it only spoke again. Your empire dies one silence at a time. Then, in a blink, the entire defensive fleet vanished. Hundreds of ships erased. Vega colony floated unprotected, its people crying in terror. The ghost ship paused, engines humming like whispers. But it did not erase Vega. Instead, it drifted away, leaving the colony untouched but broken in spirit. Karos stood at the screen, fists clenched. His voice was bitter, filled with rage and fear. It plays with us. It wants us afraid. This is not war, it is a warning. Behind him, Dr. Vera whispered once more. No, Admiral. Warnings come before the end. This is the end beginning. The Empire was no longer silent. It was restless, trembling like a giant beast wounded in its heart. On the capital world, citizens crowded the streets not in celebration but in fear. Rumors spread faster than any signal. Some whispered of an alien godship, others of cursed technology built in the dark. Markets closed early. Ships refused to leave port and families huddled indoors. In the lower districts, a child tugged at his mother's sleeve. "Mama, will the black ship come here?" The mother held him close, her voice shaking. "No, child, the Empire will protect us." But even as she said it, she did not believe her own words. Meanwhile, far above the capital in the Emperor's citadel, golden doors closed. Only the highest members of the Empire were allowed in this chamber: generals, scientists, and advisors. The council was secret, hidden from the eyes of the people. The Emperor sat on his throne, his face half shadowed by the light of burning stars outside the window. His voice was heavy. "The people panic. Our colonies are losing faith. Fleets vanish without trace. We face a terror we do not understand. Tell me, Council, what is this ship?" A scientist with sunken eyes stepped forward. His name was Dr. Halrin, a man who studied anomalies for decades. His hands trembled as he spoke. "My Emperor, I believe the ship does not destroy, it removes. It bends the laws of reality, pulls our fleets out of existence. We cannot track where they go because they go nowhere." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some laughed bitterly. Others shook their heads. A general slammed his armored fist on the table. "Nonsense, ships cannot just disappear. Every machine leaves wreckage, every weapon leaves fire. This is an enemy trick. Rebels or aliens with stolen tech. We must strike harder, not waste time on theories." Dr. Halrin met his eyes. "And how many more fleets will you feed to the void before you accept the truth? This is not a battle. We can win with force." The Emperor raised his hand, silencing the room. His gaze fell heavy on Karos, who stood at the edge of the circle. "Admiral, you faced this phantom longer than anyone. Speak." Karos stepped forward. His voice was steady, but carried the weight of fear. "The scientist speaks true, my Emperor. We fire and nothing happens. We defend and nothing remains. This ship does not fight, it judges. It wants us to know fear, and it is winning." The council grew quiet. For a moment, even the sound of breathing seemed loud. Then, another advisor, a man of cold eyes and calm voice, broke the silence. "Perhaps we asked the wrong question. Not what this ship is, but who built it." All heads turned. The advisor continued. "Look closely at its design. The hull, the engines, the shape. It is not alien. It is ours. Human hands built that nightmare, which means—" He let the words hang like poison in the air. "Which means someone within the Empire has betrayed us." Gasps echoed. Betrayal was more terrifying than alien invasion. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Find them. Hunt every engineer, every exile, every rogue, commander who could have made such a weapon. If this monster was born of my empire, I will cut out its heart with my own hand." But outside the Golden Chamber, panic only grew worse. On Colony Vega, where the ghost ship had spared millions after erasing their defenders, people no longer trusted the Empire. Some said the Emperor had created the ship himself to keep the people in fear. Others claimed the fleets were not erased but taken, kidnapped by rebels who planned to return stronger. Civil war whispers spread like fire. In the mining worlds, workers refused shipments. "Why dig ore for ships that vanish like smoke?" they cried. On trade routes, captains refused imperial orders. Why protect an empire that cannot protect itself? Fear was no longer quiet. It was rebellion waiting to ignite. Admiral Karos knew this. He stood in the command hall one evening, staring at the empty spaces on the star map. Entire sectors glowed red where fleets had once stood proud. An officer approached. "Sir, the people are losing faith. They think the Empire's time is ending." Karos did not turn. "Maybe they are right." The officer swallowed hard. "What do we do?" Karos's voice was cold. "We find the truth. Not for glory, not for victory, but because if we fail, there will be no empire left to command." That night, Dr. Halloran studied the transmission again. Alone in the dark, he replayed the living symbols on his console. They shifted, changed, bent into new words. This time the message was different. It read, "Your fleets are gone. Next will be your worlds." Halloran's blood ran cold. He rushed to record the symbols, but before his hands could finish, the console blinked out. Power cut across the room, leaving only silence. And in that silence, for one heartbeat, he swore. He heard a voice whisper directly into his ear, "Already dead?" The next day he reported to Kairos. His face was pale, his voice weak. "Admiral, the ship speaks not just to fleets, not just to officers. It speaks to me. It knows us. It is watching." Kairos stared at him. "Then what does it want?" Halloran's eyes filled with dread. Not war, not surrender. It wants the Empire to collapse by itself. Fear will do the work, and fear is already winning. In the Emperor's citadel, alarms sounded again. Reports screamed across the network. Unknown ship detected near Sector 12. Civilian population 9 million. The Emperor rose from his throne. His words were sharp, his eyes burning. "Enough of theories, enough of whispers. Assemble our strongest battleship. If this ghost thinks it can break an empire, let it face the Iron Fist." The council bowed, but many hearts trembled. For deep inside they knew the ghost ship had not even begun. The order spread like fire across the Empire. Prepare the Iron Fist. The Iron Fist was not just a ship. It was a legend, the largest battleship ever built by human hands. Its hull was layered, with armor thicker than mountain stone. Its cannons could turn a moon into ash, and its engines roared like thunder across the void. For centuries, the Empire had whispered one truth: where the Iron Fist goes, no enemy survives. Now, the Empire placed its last hope in this single beast of steel. Admiral Kairos stood on the Iron Fist's bridge. The galaxy stretched before him. Hundreds of officers moved around the vast command hall, their voices steady but their eyes filled with unspoken fear. "Report," Kairos ordered. "Unknown ship detected in Sector 12, Admiral. Course steady, no change in speed. It seems to be waiting." Kairos's jaw tightened. "Waiting for us." He turned toward the crew. "This is no ordinary hunt. The ghost ship has erased fleets, broken colonies, and left us in fear. But this ship," he touched the steel railing beside him, "this ship was made to face the impossible. We do not flee, we chase." The officers nodded. For a moment, courage returned to their faces. Engines roared as the Iron Fist cut across the stars. Smaller escort ships followed, though everyone knew they were only shadows beside the giant. The people across the Empire held their breath, watching the transmission feeds. If the Iron Fist failed, nothing would remain. Hours passed in silence. Then, the ghost ship appeared. It floated calmly, its black hull swallowing light, its engines glowing like dying embers. Against the massive frame of the Iron Fist, it looked small, fragile, like a wolf standing before a mountain. But Kairos knew better. Size meant nothing against something that erased reality itself. "Lock weapons," he commanded. Gunners pressed controls. Cannons turned, missiles armed. The Iron Fist prepared to unleash its fury. Yet the ghost ship did not move. It simply lingered, as if daring them to strike. "Fire," Kairos said. A storm erupted. Beams of light tore across the void. Missiles burned like falling stars. Cannons thundered in endless rhythm. The galaxy itself seemed to shake under the Iron Fist's rage. When the fire cleared, the ghost ship was gone. Officers gasped. Some cheered, believing the nightmare had ended. But Kairos did not smile. His eyes narrowed. No wreckage, no signal. It didn't die. It moved. At that exact moment, alarms screamed. The ghost ship reappeared behind them. The Iron Fist spun its massive frame, engines straining. For a ship its size, the turn was slow but powerful. Full shields, all weapons lock again. The ghost ship drifted closer, not firing, not rushing. It moved with patience like a predator circling prey. Karos clenched his fists. You want us to chase? Fine, we will chase. The Iron Fist's engines flared. The chase began. For hours, the two ships cut across the void. The Iron Fist thundered after its smaller enemy, unleashing storm after storm of fire. Yet every shot passed through nothingness. The ghost ship flickered in and out of sight, reappearing just beyond reach. Crew members whispered among themselves. It's not fighting us, it's leading us somewhere. Karos overheard. His voice was low but sharp. Then let it lead. If it has a destination, we will see it first. Dr. Vera, now assigned aboard the Iron Fist, studied the enemy on her screens. Her hands shook as she traced its hull shape. Admiral, she said softly, look at this. The angles, the structure of the engines. This design is not alien, it's human. Karos turned sharply. Explain. She zoomed in on the hull. This is Imperial engineering. Modified, yes. Advanced far beyond what we know, but the foundation, it's ours. This ship was not built by strangers, it was built by one of us. The bridge fell silent. The idea was worse than any alien horror. One officer muttered. Then someone betrayed us. Someone gave birth to this nightmare. Karos's voice was steel. Not someone, a commander, a traitor with knowledge, with power. And they want us to suffer. Suddenly, the ghost ship slowed. It stopped in the middle of empty space, waiting. The Iron Fist circled, weapons locked, shields raised. Why stop now? An officer asked. As if in answer, the ship sent another transmission. The voice echoed across the bridge, calm, human, and sharp as a knife. You finally see. This is not alien. This is not magic. This is your Empire's own child, turned against you. You built this monster long ago. Your greed, your cruelty, your endless hunger for control. I only gave it shape. The crew froze. Every word cut deeper than any weapon. Karos stepped forward, eyes locked on the screen. Who are you? The voice laughed softly. Who am I? The one you cast out. The commander you betrayed. The shadow you left behind when you thought yourselves gods. You forgot me, but I did not forget you. The ghost ship's engines burned, brighter. And now, I will show the galaxy what happens when an empire rots from within. The Iron Fist's crew braced for impact, but no attack came. Instead, the ghost ship vanished once more, leaving only silence. Karos gripped the railing. His voice was heavy. This is worse than we feared. Not an alien enemy, not a god ship. A human, a traitor, a man who knows us, who hates us, and if he built one ship that bends reality. Dr. Vera finished his thought, her face pale. Then, he can build more. The bridge fell silent. Outside the windows, the stars burned quietly, as if watching the Empire unravel. The Iron Fist returned to the capital in silence. Its engines roared, but its crew spoke in whispers. For all its power, for all its cannons, it had failed. The ghost ship was gone again, leaving behind only one truth. This was not alien. It was human. Admiral Karos stood before the Emperor's council once more. The golden chamber felt colder than before, as if the very walls feared the words about to be spoken. Karos's voice was sharp. The enemy is no stranger, it is one of us, a traitor. A commander who knows our fleets, our codes, our weaknesses. The ship's design is imperial. We cannot deny it. Gasps echoed through the council. Some shouted, others whispered. The idea that their greatest threat came not from outside but from within was unbearable. The Emperor's eyes burned like fire. Who dares betray me? Dr. Vera stepped forward, holding a data pad filled with records she had uncovered. Her voice shook, but she forced herself to speak. 10 years ago, Admiral Sarath was exiled. Do you remember him, my Emperor? He questioned the Empire's wars. He accused you of cruelty, of corruption. For his defiance, he was stripped of rank, cast into the outer rim. A silence heavier than stone filled the room. The name was not forgotten, only buried. Karos clenched his fists. Sarath. I should have known. He was brilliant. Too brilliant. He built weapons no one else understood. And he hated the Empire for using them without mercy. The Emperor's voice thundered, shaking the chamber. Lies. He was a coward, a traitor long before this. He had no right to question the Empire's destiny. But Dr. Vera's eyes did not leave the Emperor's. Perhaps, or perhaps he saw what we refused to see, that our Empire is built not only on order, but on blood. And now he has returned to show us the cost. Outside the council chamber, rumors spread like wildfire. Soldiers whispered of Sarath, the forgotten admiral who had seen too much. Civilians whispered louder. If the Empire creates monsters, perhaps the Empire itself is the true monster. Rebellion was no longer whispers. Small riots sparked on mining colonies. A fleet refused orders near the outer rim, declaring neutrality. The Empire was fracturing, not from weapons, but from doubt. On the Iron Fist's bridge, Karos read Sarath's old records. Files long buried now resurfaced. He read Sarath's words aloud to himself. An empire that devours its own people cannot survive. You may silence me, but the truth will echo, and one day that echo will erase you. Karos closed his eyes. Those words written a decade ago now matched the ghost ship's voice. Sarath, Karos whispered. You became the echo. That night the ghost ship returned, not to attack but to broadcast. Every world, every colony, every ship in the Empire saw the same transmission. A man's face filled the screens, older, scarred, but unmistakably human. It was Sarath. My people, he began, his voice calm, steady, powerful. You believe I am your enemy. You are told I am a traitor, a monster, but the truth is simple. I am one of you, and I fight not to destroy humanity, but to free it from chains. Across the Empire, millions stopped to listen. You built fleets to conquer. You burned worlds to control. You silenced voices that dared to speak. I was one of those voices. And for that, I was cast out. So I built something greater, something the Empire cannot touch, cannot erase. And now, I use it not to conquer, but to erase the conquerors. On the Iron Fist, the crew watched in silence. Some faces were pale with fear. Others showed doubt, even sympathy. One officer whispered, "He doesn't sound like a villain. He sounds like..." Karos cut him off. "He sounds like a man who wants to end us. Do not forget that." But even Karos felt the weight of Sarath's words. The Emperor interrupted the broadcast. His face replaced Sarath's on half the screens. His voice thundered, "Do not listen to this traitor. He is a liar who hides behind tricks and shadows. The Empire is eternal. Obey me, and we will crush him together." But Sarath's voice returned, stronger, clearer, on the other half of the screens. "Listen to your Emperor. Hear his rage, his threats. Has he ever spoken of mercy, of peace? He speaks only of crushing, of ruling. Is this the voice of a leader or a tyrant?" Now the Empire's people saw two faces, one of power, one of rebellion, and for the first time many began to question which one carried truth. The ghost ship vanished once more, but its words lingered like fire. In the council chamber, arguments erupted. Generals demanded Sarath be destroyed immediately. Advisors whispered that maybe peace should be offered. Scientists argued that his technology could not be fought with brute force. Admiral Karos stood at the center, silent, torn between duty and doubt. Finally, he spoke. "This is no longer just war. This is a reckoning. Sarath is not only fighting fleets, he is fighting the soul of the Empire. And I fear we may already be losing." The Emperor's glare cut through him. "Do not speak weakness, Admiral. Speak victory or speak nothing." But Karos did not bow. For the first time he met the Emperor's eyes with defiance. In the quiet of his quarters, Karos looked out at the stars. His reflection stared back from the glass, an admiral sworn to protect an empire but now uncertain what that empire truly was. Sarath's voice echoed in his mind. Your empire is already dead. For the first time, Kairos wondered if the words were not a threat, but the truth. The galaxy held its breath. For weeks, rumors had spread like fire, fleets erased, colonies left defenseless, and the voice of an exiled commander echoing across every star system. Now the Empire prepared its last gamble. The Iron Fist would face the ghost ship directly. No more chases. No more shadows. This would be the final stand. On the bridge of the Iron Fist, Admiral Kairos stood firm. His face looked carved from stone, but inside, doubt gnawed at him. The crew worked in silence, their eyes shifting nervously toward the stars. "Status?" Kairos asked. "Enemy detected, Admiral. Ghost ship reappeared in Sector 14. It's just waiting." Kairos's grip tightened on the railing. "He knows we're coming." Dr. Vera spoke quietly, her face pale. "Sarath doesn't fight for victory. He fights for the message. Whatever happens today, he wants the galaxy to see." Kairos gave a sharp nod. "Then let them see us stand." The Iron Fist approached. The ghost ship hung in the void, still and silent, its black hull reflecting no light. Against the monstrous size of the Iron Fist, it looked almost fragile, yet every officer knew the truth. This fragile shadow had erased fleets greater than armies. The comms crackled. A calm, familiar voice filled the bridge. "Kairos, at last, we meet." The crew froze. The voice was Sarath's, smooth and steady. Kairos answered, his tone cold. "Show yourself, Sarath. End this hiding." A figure appeared on the screen. Sarath's face was scarred, older, but his eyes burned with the same fire he carried a decade ago. "I do not hide, Admiral. I reveal. And today I reveal the Empire's weakness for all to see." Kairos's jaw tightened. "You betrayed us. You betrayed humanity." "No," Sarath said, shaking his head. "I betrayed the Empire. Humanity is what I protect. You follow an emperor who burns worlds and calls it order. You serve chains, not people." Murmurs rippled across the bridge. Some officers looked down, unwilling to meet Kairos's eyes. Kairos silenced them with a glare. "Enough speeches. Today this ends." Sarath smiled faintly. "Yes. Today, something ends." The ghost ship moved first. It flickered in and out of sight, circling the Iron Fist. The battleship's cannons thundered, missiles streaked through space, beams of light lit the stars, but each strike passed harmlessly through empty void. "Target lost," the gunners cried. "It's phasing. Keep firing," Kairos ordered. "Force it to reveal." The ghost ship reappeared at their flank. For one terrifying moment, its black hull brushed against the shields of the Iron Fist. No weapon fired, yet alarm screamed as entire systems flickered. "It's draining us," an officer shouted. "Power levels dropping." Kairos slammed his fist against the console. "Reroute all reserves, hold the line." The Iron Fist shook, lights dimming, but its engines roared louder. The ship was not only steel, it was the pride of an empire, and pride does not die easily. Then Sarath's voice filled the bridge again. "Kairos, you still fight for a corpse. Look around. Colonies rebel. Fleets refuse orders. Your emperor rules an empire already breaking. Why die for dust?" Kairos glared at the screen. "Because duty does not die. You may hate the empire, but I swore to protect it. And I will." Sarath's eyes softened, almost with pity. "Then you are already lost." The ghost ship pulsed with blinding light. For a moment, every star vanished, leaving only darkness. When the light faded, 3 escort ships of the Iron Fist were gone, erased without a trace. Fear swept the bridge. Officers gripped their stations, some whispering prayers. Kairos roared above the panic. "We are not done. Aim all weapons on my mark. Fire everything." The Iron Fist unleashed its fury. Cannons, missiles, plasma. Every weapon burned against the void. For the first time, a single beam struck true. The ghost ship shuddered. Its hull sparked with strange energy. Ripples, spreading like cracks in glass. Gasps erupted. "It can be hurt." Kairos's eyes flared with fire. "Again, do not stop." The Iron Fist pounded the shadow, blow after blow. The ghost ship flickered violently, struggling to phase away. For the first time, Sarath's calm voice broke into anger. You think you win? You think fire will save you? Fool. I do not fight to survive. I fight to erase. Suddenly, the ghost ship's engines blazed brighter than suns. A wave of energy surged outward, covering the entire sector. Alarms shrieked as the iron fist shook under the blast. Reality distortion, Dr. Vera cried. He's activating something we've never seen. The star map lit red. Whole regions vanished from display. Not just fleets, not just ships. Entire sectors. Planets gone. Stars gone. A corner of the galaxy erased in a single pulse dot. The crew stared in horror. What have you done? Karos whispered. Sarath's voice returned, calm once more. I have shown you the future. This empire will vanish not by rebellion, not by war, but by silence. And when the silence is complete, humanity will be free. The transmission cut. The ghost ship disappeared again, leaving behind only empty stars where worlds once were. The bridge was silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The Empire had just watched a part of itself erased forever. Karos gripped the railing, his knuckles white. This is not war. This is extinction. Dr. Vera's eyes filled with dread. Admiral, if he can erase stars, then nowhere is safe. Not even the capital. Karos looked out into the void. His voice was low, heavy with despair but burning with resolve. Then we will hunt him, no matter the cost, because if we fail— He turned, his face pale against the flashing red lights. Then the Empire will not just fall. It will never have existed. The screen turned black, and across the galaxy, billions whispered the same words. Already dead.